Lucky Boys Podcast.
Yeah, politics is very dirty, and I found even local politics is even worse,
How so?
And, I was supporting a candidate.
Can you name drop?
Yeah. I was supporting Stephen Lee for New York State District Assemblyman. He is a whistleblower cop, who found that in the 109th precinct in Flushing that the higher level officers were dealing with, prostitution rings, drug trafficking,
human trafficking as well. Human trafficking.
Yeah. Or protecting that, bribes and all that, right? And he went undercover for 3 years with Internal Affairs, right?
Oh, snap.
And went undercover when he found out, and brought this up. And then after his investigation or his work, he's put his life on the line, right? Hanging out with gangsters and dirty cops, right? And found that this network of corruption went beyond his precinct and throughout different parts of the NYPD overall network. And Internal Affairs only wanted to go after the low-level people. They didn't want to go after the big guys. So what he did was he went to the media.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And since then, he's been harassed. They try to...
By who?
By the NYPD. You don't get rewarded for speaking up or speaking out.
Right.
He's the Asian Serpico.
Asian Serpico, they called him.
Asian Serpico?
Serpico.
I've never even heard of this guy.
You never heard of Serpico?
No, I've never heard of
Stephen
Lee. I've never even heard of this story.
Yeah, it's an incredible story.
Wait, how did you hear about it?
Well, actually, my brother-in-law, he's running for he was the treasurer for his campaign, and then that's how
and his brother-in-law used to be partners with Steve as the NYPD.
But you said he went to the media with this. Yeah, I haven't heard this.
Yeah, because it didn't blow up enough, because
suppression of media.
But this is front page news.
It is front page news. There was
this
the New
is
York Post
way more interesting knowing that a certain celebrity had plastic surgery or certain celebrities dating someone else.
Usually that gets the front page though.
Yeah.
I can't believe something like this is actually happening.
So and then he's being harassed
and not being publicized.
Being publicized, right? So, and then he wanted to do
Wait, is he alive still?
He's alive still, fortunately, right? So he lives in the community, and he's
he lives in Flushing.
He lives in Flushing too,
and no cops and gangsters got to him.
Well, I mean, they cleaned it up, so he lived, but they put him on desk duty. They've got him doing BS work, not really being able to help the community. So he's like, okay, I need to run for New York State District Assemblyman. Right. The current incumbent, Ron Kim, was originally, people loved it because he was a Korean guy. They thought he was good for the community, but he's in the past several years, all he's done is really make moves for his own political gain. Instead of helping the community. The community is about 80% Asian Americans.
Flushing, Queens.
Flushing, Whitestone, yeah. It brings in so much tax revenue for the city, but what Flushing receives back is next to nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah, it doesn't receive that much back from the government. And it just...
Why is that?
Well, because we don't vote. Asian Americans are the fastest growing group in our country, right? But we have no political power because we don't vote. So because we don't vote, then elected officials don't feel they need to be held accountable to those communities. So they're going to hear out other communities that are voting.
And that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And it makes sense. So that's why we have to wake up to our own power. In our country, Asians have been able to take obstacles, generally Asians have been able to take obstacles and work around them and thrive. So many Asians have been able to keep head down.
We are a scrappy bunch.
Yeah, work around it and thrive. Work around it. More obstacles, we work around it. Have some communities that help each other out. Work around it, right? But imagine how much more we'd be able to thrive if we understand what our political power is and we can get that power and bring it back to the community.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we need to do. We need to wake up to that. But too many of our people in our community are disenfranchised from politics because they've made it voted for someone, it didn't go through, kind of disheartened.
And they don't feel like they can make a difference.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the button right there. I mean, voting is where the power is. If you want to be heard and you're frustrated and you want to make a difference, it's your vote. You have to make your vote count because I'll tell you what, these people that want to be elected into office or stay in office,
Yeah.
they are going to want the vote, because if your vote or if your demographic has the power to swing the election,
Yeah.
you better believe they are going to do what they need to do to make you happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about power, and money is connected to all of that, you know. So
It's a fucking game.
Yeah, it's a fucking
crazy game.
So this guy Ron Kim, the current incumbent, is pretty much a dirty politician. You know, he was fighting for nail salons. And he's like, oh, you gotta give all this money towards this his lobby nail salons, right? That were fighting against a certain law that was passed that would bring them at a disadvantage. So he said like, oh, he got them to raise all this money to give to like his lobbying firm that he had worked for before he became a politician. All right. And they put out tens and tens of thousands of dollars towards this lobbying group. And he went against what his word to these nail salons, you know? So it's just like
a lot of people in politics do that.
They do that, and you need to get
They'll
rid
tell
of them.
you ear candy.
Yeah,
and then when it comes time,
you know, they don't represent the voice of the community. They don't care about the people of the community. They only care about their next political move.
Now, what makes you think
stage.
Stephen Lee would be different?
Because he's the Asian Serpico. Like Frank Serpico is the cop that went undercover to expose corruption and refused to be a dirty cop. And
so you feel like
because of his
those
character,
actions represent integrity,
of course,
and that it'll translate well into office.
Yeah, because he was not afraid to fight for justice, fight for the truth. Even like him being a cop, you know, and going against breaking the blue wall. That's you're killing your career.
Yeah.
You're killing your livelihood. You're throwing away all of this these benefits of the brotherhood. You know, you're throwing to speak truth, to fight for what's right, to fight for to better the community, because that you know, it was dark like underworld, Asian underworld, really, that, you know, was bringing in all these girls, holding girls captive by taking their passports, threatening their families back in Asia if they didn't, you know, participate in the prostitution, etc. You know, like it was like these are things that are harmful for the community, and he, like, to recognize that and then want to fight out against that despite what would happen to you. That's someone of character. You know, that's someone that is that values the community. That's someone that, like, I can get behind.
How do people go out and vote for him?
It's June 23rd. It already happened.
Already happened?
Yeah. And
damn, we should have had you on before.
No, but it's okay because, and it was interesting because.
What was the results? Did he win?
So he did not win, and it was mainly because of the smear campaign that Ron Kim did against Steve Lee. So he called him a racist, dirty Republican cop, right? And, you know, he was a Republican before, right? But never politically active, didn't really vote, you know, and changed his, like, once he was more politically active, realized that, oh, okay, my views don't align with the Republican Party, switched over to Democrat, started running, right? And this was back in September of 2019. So there's already a lot of anti-cop sentiment in the country, especially in New York. People just don't like the cops, right? And this guy, Ron Kim, all his social media is about, like, demonizing the cops, right? And wanting to get rid of cops, right? And then, you know, to prove his point that Steve Lee is like this Republican, dirty, whatever cop, right? A Trump-loving cop. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You know, how are you going to call the Asian Serpico a dirty cop? It's so ridiculous. But anyway, he goes to the New York State Board of Elections, gets his record, right? And posts his, like, record. That's very sparse because he doesn't really, you know, wasn't politically active, right? But included his full address with apartment number, date of birth, email address, you know, essentially.
He sent a hit on him?
Essentially, that's what happened.
Yeah,
there.
and harassment. Yeah.
He sent a hit on him?
Yeah, exactly. How crazy is that? That this is the behavior of people, like, our elected officials. You know, this is and this sets a precedent to.
Is that even legal to do something like that? Isn't that grounds for a lawsuit?
I think so. I mean, he should pursue that, you know, if he's not already, you know, because he's put like there's
You can't put private information out there like that, can you?
yeah, like, and one, there's anti-cop sentiment. You're stoking the flames of, you know, this anti-cop sentiment. You're falsely accusing this guy of being a racist, Republican, Trump-loving,
But obviously
dirty cop.
enough. I don't know much about either guy,
Yeah.
but enough people voted for Ron Kim. You said,
Yeah, yeah.
why is that?
Well, also
It
there's
can't-
the
it can't
COVID.
just-
There's the COVID crisis that happened, the
Did he do
pandemic.
well?
So you have a lot of people that didn't come out. You know, like Steve Lee couldn't campaign going around to
I
different
see.
like churches or organizations to really get out the vote. I mean, he was still able to get at least 30%. You know, of the vote, which is incredible for someone that no
Just
one
just
really
came in,
knew
yeah.
first run. You know, but people who did know him really liked him.
Wait, so if Ron Kim is accused of all this, again, I don't want to make anyone guilty.
Yeah, sure.
But if he is, are these, you know, these accusations are very strong.
Yeah, because people are not engaged. People like
But
have lost engaged.
shouldn't he be arrested? Shouldn't
I
he
mean,
have been
so now-
internal affairs?
So
If there were
there's-
proof that he was part
yeah,
of this
so- yeah.
prostitution ring, how
No,
can
no,
he?
Ron Kim was not part of the prostitution ring.
No, okay,
Yeah. No, that was the NYPD.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Then I'm mixing up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
mixing up the
Mhm.
stories.
There's two, there's two
There's
separate
two,
stories.
yeah.
So let's stick with Ron Kim then. So he's just more out for himself
Yeah.
and not for the community. He
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
Yeah, and a lot of his support comes from outside of the community.
Okay.
You know, so but he has name recognition. You know, like because we're not engaged, politically engaged or civically engaged enough. You know, we don't see how certain policies affect our daily lives.
Right.
You
So
know?
why do you care so much about this?
Because
you don't live in Flushing.
yeah, so I care like deeply about this because it's our people. You know, it's our community. And when I was volunteering for Andrew Yang, I found like, oh, you know, there's so much power in politics. There's so much untapped power, you know, in our communities and we're the fastest growing group in America, but we're not like taking this power, you know, back and bringing it to our
So
people.
you see this huge void in the system with Asian Americans in particular. And you feel like this is a space that we should fill.
Yeah. We all should, like
participate in.
people, but people in general, like young people don't participate, you know, in any of the politics. And I feel like we're all discouraged from participating in it because, you know, the less you participate, the more those can hold power and do the
Stay
fucking
in
bullshit
power.
that they want to do, you know, without any scrutiny. You know, so you'll have maybe some watchdog agencies that'll make noise, but it's not enough to move the people because the people don't understand how that affects their day-to-day lives. You know, and if also 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, they don't have the bandwidth
Right.
to care.
Right.
There's a lot that's going on that we just don't have enough to care about. And then when you start caring about something,
Distractions.
and then when we start caring about something and start speaking truth to power, then you have other factions of people who want to maintain that power or maintain their political motives and will gather around and make lies and make whatever and then start attacking you.
Right.
I was like the week leading up to the election, I was the subject of attack, false allegations, slander, libel, like by these group of people that I did not know because I was supporting a person that they did not like. In
So
Steve Lee.
you were supporting Steve Lee,
Yeah. And I was vocal about it.
and I guess the Ron Kim gang,
Yeah.
went after you hard.
Yeah, they went after me hard. They tried so I did my first Asians for Black Lives Matter march, right? And I was only expecting like 200 people to show up, you know, based on like the invites and the confirmed attendings, right? So and the morning, and I worked my ass off to make this happen, you know, and then I was the only one really doing it. And the morning of, you know, these group of people, I had no idea this was happening too until like 2 p.m. Right. But like an hour before the rally was supposed to start. But the morning of, they had made a lot of noise on Twitter and on social media.
How do you know it's Ron Kim's group though?
Oh, because if you look back and you see the support and like, yeah,
It's
you
connected
see,
somehow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's
You could connect the
very
dots.
Yeah, definitely connected. And because they tried to say that they tried to sabotage the rally that I was doing, saying that this was all a political ploy to support Steve Lee, this cop candidate. You know, like they're, you know, a cop is trying to co-opt this movement. This guy from LA who doesn't even live in New York, you know, he just want to push this agenda, this and that. I'm like, the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, that's crazy to say, because if what you say is true,
yeah.
I mean, people could look at his resume easily online, find a couple of articles that.
But
the
nobody
media has
does.
put out.
Nobody cares. No one cares enough
So
to
you're
research.
talking about everybody is voting based on headlines.
People are voting on headlines. People are voting on their emotions. They like, people are not, like, in general, people as a society, they're not taking the time to take in nuances, take in like gray areas. You know, like people are looking for
and
things
also
that
we're-
support their viewpoint.